Let me see how many people I can get to come on this live. Let's see. How many people I can get to come on the live. I got some questions for you all of you who got parents that you are having to have to take care of right now. You know, when you're in that age, you know, I'm a Gen Xer, so Gen X, stand up, come talk to me. Happy Saturday. Well, it was happy until I got some news today, so I'm gonna see who all pop in here. But it's a Saturday evening. I was gonna watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, but I don't even feel like sitting in the house watching TV. So I'm sitting on my front porch listening to whatever the hell that make this noise. I don't know what they call them, cicadas. So I'll give it time because I got some questions that I want to ask. But I'm feeling kind of down. And my brother told me, you can't just be defeated. But I'm feeling a little defeated. You know, when you have to take over for your parents. Let's make sure this light is on. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, my phone just went kind of dark. Whatever. When you have to start taking over for your parents. And then you still got to watch your grandkids too. And that's my situation now. And it's not a fun spot. It's not. Especially when you're used to your parents being independent and then when they start to become dependent. And then when you're like, I'm the oldest in my family, so our ages run. My dad got 6 kids. He has 3 with my mom, which was his first wife, and then 1 with a girlfriend, and then 2 with his second wife. So our ages run from I'm 52 and the youngest one, oh Lord, my daughter is 32, so I think my sister is 36, 35 or 36, something like that. Uh, let's see here. I think she's 36. I think she's born in 89. So let me see if y'all come on in here. Or no, I just talk to myself. And y'all can catch it on the replays. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. But this is for the Gen Xers. Or anyone, I think, but mostly it's Gen Xers. Anyone who has to kind of take over for their parent. And I don't know. What kind of support do you get? Because I'm feeling stressed. So I know my dad leases comes up for renewal in October. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do like assisted living, maybe. We did assisted living before in 2019. And honey, he he got kicked out. He got kicked out during COVID, of all things. One was able to put people out, they put his ass out. At first, when he went, he thought, oh my God, you put me here with all these old people. My daddy, he is 73 now. So in 2019, he was still in his 60s. But he was having ambulatory problems. And him and my brother, they were roommating. And one day, it went from roommating to caregiver. And not to put that kind of stress on my brother, we thought, oh, it was best for my dad to go to assisted living. But evidently, he wouldn't. My dad went to assisted living and went to jail. He got in a whole fight. And I was like, what? He can't even hardly walk that good. I mean, because he was unsteady. But somebody got in his face and called him a nigga. And my dad said, what was I supposed to do? The man walked better than me. He got close enough. He says, I punched him. So, I don't know. But so then, I mean, right before then, I remember because my dad, he would catch the bus. He wasn't no longer driving, and because his license was suspended, he ain't want him driving no more. But yeah, come in and talk to me. Look, I got some questions, especially if you got any aging parents like mine, and you're in a situation where you're taking care of your family member. But anyways, my dad, he's been was it this year? I think it started in February, where I looked at his foot and I'm like, what happened to your toe? But oh, prior to that, we've been dealing with um, memory issues, basically, and ambulatory issues. So he uses a walker, and his strongest leg is the leg that they want to amputate up to his knee, and that's what's giving me an issue here. So I talked to him about it today, and at first he was like, bullshit. I'm outside, so somebody's got their motorcycle out here, so I'm sitting on my porch. But I guess, when you're the oldest, I'm 52. Like I said, and my sister, she's the youngest one. There's four boys in between us. So our ages range from 52 to, I believe she's 36. And I am the one kind of stuck making decisions. And it's kind of hard, when you want to make the best decisions for a person. And I hate that because the house I live in is a two-story home. Because if I had a ranch style home, I think I would just have my dad live here with me. Even though it might cause issues. You know how, because he did stay with me for a little bit when he got kicked out of assisted living until we could find an apartment for him. And then he still had ambulatory problems, but he would crawl up the stairs and slide down on his butt. And my dad is one of those tough cookies, and I guess my issue is because he has actually they're triplets, but only two of them survived the birth. And so my uncle, I guess when he was maybe a toddler, it caught polio, and he became had issues with his legs. So I believe my uncle was probably in his 40s. I think 40s or early 50s when he had his foot amputated. But he was, my uncle get around fine. Now my dad was the one who was always the one who got along, got around better. But my dad, what he had said about a year ago, he said, I wonder why a kid ain't going through this, and I am. I said, well, sometimes it's how things happen. So they just turned 73. My dad, they're not the youngest ones. They do have an older brother. And I told my dad, I said, why the youngest brother? Well, he ain't the youngest brother. He got one under him. But we ain't seen him in like 40 years. He goes, I go, why the youngest brother look older than the oldest brother? I said, Daddy, you need to shave your beard. But so I've been stressed out when they called me and told me that they thought the best option, because he's been having issues. He had his toe amputated, and it's just not healing. And he's caught infection in it twice. So they want to cut up to right below the knee. And my brother is like, don't trigger, because I'm one, I kind of panic about stuff a lot. And then I shut down. So I thought maybe I'd come over here and see if there's anyone out there that they got aging parents. Because like all of me and my friends, because I remember one time my friend made a statement before, and this years ago, she said, you the only one that still got both of your parents. I was like, what? I didn't even think about it like that. I remember one of our friends lost her parents. I think we were in our 20s when she lost both of her parents. One One was terminal. Had been divorced for years. He had remarried. Actually, he had remarried a distant relative of mine. And so the ex-wife, which is my friend's mom, went up to visit him, basically to say her goodbyes. And she went home and died before him. He died the next day. She wouldn't even, I think they said she had either a massive heart attack or a stroke or something. But no, an aneurysm. And she passed away. So my friend, they were faced with having to do two funerals, back to back. And they couldn't have them together because, like I said, he was already remarried. And she was just going up there to say her last goodbyes to him. And she went home, passed away before he did. And we were in our 20s when that happened. So then I have other friends, either the mother or father. I have another friend that both parents are gone. So, I got a couple friends that both parents are gone. But then so I think I'm the only one who has both still. My mom seemed to be doing well. I told my mom at one time, I said, you better hang on. I said, if you don't, you and daddy going to be living together because they've been divorced since the 80s. When they got married? Divorced in 1980. I think 80. They did got divorced in 1980. They were married almost 8 years before they got divorced. My mom and dad, they married real young. My dad was 19 during he turned 20. My mom was 16, about to be 17 when they got married. Because of me, shotgun. So that's the hard part of being at this age of 52 when you have to deal with looking after your parents. Then I said, I'm too old. I had my grandson all last night. Now, that's what I'm used to having kids during the daytime, but I never really had to keep my other grandchildren. They're 12 and 13. I didn't ever have to keep them like that. So I said, now I'm older. And this baby waking me up through the night. I said, oh God. I was so happy when mama came and got him. Yeah, I'm just kind of trying to figure out what's the best, issue or the best way to handle this issue. As far as I don't want to really put him in a nursing home. I know he's going to have to go to rehab for a while. And I would hope that after he's in rehab, he can maybe get fitted for, an artificial leg. That way he could be able to, or, enough to, use his walker. But like he does have a wheelchair because we had ordered one last year, just so if he got tired of walking when he was out and about with us, that he could be able to, we can push him, Because my dad is one, he still smokes, but he's been in the hospital since Thursday. He has not asked for one cigarette. And normally, when he was in rehab for the rehab facility for his amputation of his toe, normally he would go outside, he'd smoke with other people. He still smoked Newport 100s. So, everybody in there, they got the cheap cigarettes. So when we bring his cigarettes in, he putting them up like this. And people, coming on, my daughter said, oh, there's too many people coming on here begging for cigarettes. But, he was being able to, have a social life versus when he stayed in his apartment. I was getting nervous because normally my dad liked to be in the thick of things. And at one point in time, he wasn't having a social life. He was spending like 95% of his time in the bed. So at the rehab facility, I was like, okay, he's getting out there having friends. So my dad, he's the one, he likes to talk shit. He's quick with it. Well, he used to be very quick with it, but pretty quick with it. Always gonna talk. He's gonna be that dirty old man. So I don't know. It's just sad when I know I'm not the first one to go through it, but when it happens to you, you understand it a little better. I know when my grandmother was going through it and we was watching her, and my grandmother was 79, my mom's mom, and that was hard to watch because you see a person who was strong as a bull who can do everything, and then when you see them all feeble and can't do anything, you know, it's hard to watch. And I guess when I think my parents, I forever think of them as being like 30. Because my mom was 30, I was 13, you know. So my dad was about maybe 32 or 33. Him with a Jerry curl. My mom, them, and my dad, they would hang, even though they were divorced, we still would go and hang out together. They would always, we go out to dinner and stuff, or go on to the music parks or whatever, or to movies. But so my mom, she goes up there to the hospital yesterday, and she was concerned when I talked to her about it today. She said, "Yeah, he just put the cover over his head. He didn't want nothing to eat." I said, "I know." I said, "Every time I go up there, he's laying in the bed." I said, "He's not asked for one cigarette, because normally him being in the hospital, he's like, 'Take me outside. I need to smoke.' He ain't saying nothing about smoking anything." And my dad, he still smoke weed. And he ain't saying nothing about nothing, because usually he be trying to call one of my brothers. "Can you bring me some?" Because even in the rehab facility, my little brother had to be bringing him up there some weed. So he had to walk him around somewhere so he can go smoke some weed. They never going to do stuff right. Um, I don't know. I'm just rambling because I don't, when you caught in a situation where it's scary to me. It's scary. We had our family reunion last week, and I come back Monday, and I went up there and seen him on Tuesday. I went seen him Monday. Noticed he was in the bed at the rehab place. Oh, okay, maybe he's tired. But I go again Tuesday evening. He's in the bed. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, what you laying in bed all day? I knew he had a podiatrist appointment that day. I'm like, you been in bed all day? He said, I didn't feel like it. Then I looked and was seeing how many cigarettes he had out, because usually I leave his cigarettes at the nurse's station, because I don't trust him to not try to smoke while he's in the room before he get kicked out of there. So I don't know. It's hard. So I talked to him about it, and he explained to him. So he then asked him, because like I said, his short-term memory is not that great, and that is one of our issues that we're dealing with. Long-term memory, real good. Short-term, not good at all. But he remembers what he want to remember. Cause if you saying something about some weed, he gonna remember what you said about that. He gonna remember every word and where you said to get it at, or where you put it at. So I don't know. I guess I'm trying to figure out. Okay, I have to move him out of his apartment. Then I have to put his stuff in storage. And then to do what? So I don't know what to do. My brother was like, "Don't trip, don't trip." I'm like, "Okay," but like it still kind of falls on me. And I kind of explained to my younger brother, I'm like, "Well," because he was like, "Well, who makes the decision?" I said, "Well, they call me, but I have not made myself power of attorney over him. Maybe I should, but I be trying to still let him have, make decisions for himself." Because like we went through the situation about if something happened, would he like to be resuscitated? He was like, "Hell yes." Don't stop, keep doing it. So we made sure that we had that information on his refrigerator. So if the emergency ambulance comes, then they would know. Also, because he usually would have aid services at his home, and it was usually for like companionship, not they didn't help him do anything. So now I'm looking at, so do we keep the apartment and try to do in-home health services? And with 47 cutting everything, I don't know how much Medicare is going to pay for that. He's not a rich man, you know. So, I don't know. It's just kind of a scary situation for me to try to navigate through uncharted territory. I didn't had it, I've never had to do this before. I know when it was my grandmother, she was in rehab for a surgery that she had, but honey, she didn't even make it 20 days. And they wanted to give her a feeding tube. My mom and my uncles asked her, did she want a feeding tube? Because she, for some reason, I guess she didn't feel hungry. I believe she had Alzheimer's. And she was very religious, and she said she was going to use what the Lord gave her. And essentially, I believe she starved to death. She wouldn't eat. I remember the last time I saw her alive, I was sick. And my mom wanted me to go to the nursing home to get her laundry. And I'm mad, fussing, like, why she, talking all under my breath, because I'm not feeling well. So I go up there and to get her laundry, and I noticed my grandma in pants. My grandma was a holy roller. So mom said, I told her, they had her on some pink sweats. And she said, oh, Lord, that's why mama had to get up out of here, because, honey, they had my grandma on some pink sweats. If she would have ever wore pants, she would have had a dress on top of it. And the only reason why she had pants on, maybe she was in a tree, picking her pears or apples or whatever the heck she got planted over there. So, I don't know. But, I don't know, it's just different when you're faced to deal with these kind of things. And, oh my God, my life is stressed right now. Because this baby was stressing me all night long. Then this afternoon get this news. So I took my dad up some turkey tips. He ate a little bit of that. He doesn't feel like eating, I guess. I'm knocking this phone all around. Yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out, like, what do you do when your parent is aging and you're trying to make the best decision for them? And your siblings are all looking at you to do it. And I'm not the one who handles stress well. I'm not. I'm looking at all these cars going by. But here in Indiana, it's a nice summer day here in August. You hear whatever those things is, cicadas. And I'm sitting on my porch outside talking to you guys. I was going to sit and watch Love and Marriage Huntsville. I guess I'll watch it tomorrow. I don't feel like watching nothing. I feel like sitting outside. Or I might just sit in the backyard and use the projector and watch a movie outside this evening. I don't know. Plus, my sister-in-law brother had passed away. And that's, sad. My sister-in-law lost her son a couple years ago at the age of, how was he, 11? So her son's birthday is coming up, and then my sister-in-law brother has passed away. Her mother's birthday was earlier this week, and then her brother had passed. And not to mention, my sister-in-law, not only did she lose her brother, she lost the brother that my husband and her have together. They have the same brother that died earlier this year, which was a little younger than she is. And he had diabetes, which kind of took him out. He had to get limbs cut off and stuff. I thought he was so young, and because most time we think of people with diabetes, I always thought of people that's overweight. I never really thought of somebody, thin, because my dad, he's thin, he's tall and thin, like my brother-in-law was. I don't know. So they was testing his blood sugar today. And yesterday it was like in the 70s. I'm like, oh, Lord, please do something miraculous. I don't want him to get his leg cut off. I remember when my grandmother's husband had to get his foot cut off. And my grandma did not want that to happen. So finally, he ended up getting it because he ended up taking power of attorney of himself. Because my grandma didn't want a one-legged man. She was praying on the Lord. And he's like, wait a minute. I almost died. Let me make my own decision. Take it off. Yeah, I don't know. So your girl is stressed. Word on the curve is stressed out. I said, I don't know what to do. Life is lifey. So I was looking on Instagram and I see that some rapper that from Atlanta that goes with Kirk Frost, which is Rashida's husband, daughter, was murdered, and they're saying allegedly that Kirk Frost's daughter and their sons had something to do with it. I don't know how true that is. And so that's going to be a crazy situation for Rashida and Frost. I don't wish that on anyone. You know, people make all the little side jokes, but when life is life and like that, no one wants their kid to have committed anything like that or to be involved in anything like that. So I'm hoping that's not true. And then what else I saw? I seen a man get arrested, a black man, for making threats on TikTok about offing 47. And they done arrested his ass. I shouldn't do that. We have a thin skin. 47. And when he then went up there and talked about Beyonce should be getting looked into, Al Sharpton, and Oprah Winfrey. And those folks got money. Y'all folks ain't got money like me. You better keep his name out your mouth. We're just talking like that. Call it 47. I wouldn't be making no kind of threats. Because, honey, the way things is going crazy. Then, I sound like the guy. And then, I had ordered some stuff from, Fenty? Rihanna's, like, lingerie. And because, I'm a member, they take so much a month or whatever. And they take like $59 a month or something like that. And they had sent me a text message saying I had like 200 and some dollars worth of credits to let you know how often I order stuff. So I said, let me go and order some stuff. And honey, the tariffs is tariffing. So I believe the tariff is probably somewhere around 10%, and it has it on there, tariff. And I thought, wow. So I let you know, we, the taxpayers, are paying the tariffs, not those countries. They're passing that charge right along to us, those tariffs. And what else did I see? I seen a post about, what's her name? Clarissa, the boxer to go with whatever her name, Remy Ma, husband. And she on a black outfit. She looked really nice. I mean, she looked really nice. I didn't recognize it was her. She looked really, really, really nice. The only thing somebody said, it pissed me off to see her with that white Gucci purse. It didn't match. But it threw it all the way out. But she looked really nice. I'm trying to think what else I saw on there. Honey, because the news is newsing. I mean, if you into political stuff, every other minute there's something going on. I can't even follow like that. Oh, what's her name? Megan Kelly or something like that. The white lady that used to be on Fox News was talking about Beyonce doing the Levi um, commercial ad or whatever. Is saying that Beyonce's so fake, like nothing about her is original. What did she say? You know, I think Pierce Morgan said that Beyonce is constantly like being a cultural vulture, saying that she's trying to be like Marilyn Monroe. People, Marilyn Monroe wasn't even Marilyn Monroe. She stole the stilo or the whole everything, her whole being from Dorothy Dandridge. She stole her whole everything. Stole all her swag. So, if anything, what the hell is that? I'm looking down the street. Is that a raccoon? I know I better not come over here. There's a fat, ugly, mangy cat. I believe it's a mangy cat. One time I come outside, the big ass cat sitting on my damn furniture on my porch. Like you didn't pay for something over here, just laid up. Laid up. I don't even like animals, so you get your ass off of here. But so they were upset. I mean, they are so. I don't know what Beyonce has done to all these people for them to keep coming at her. You know, like, and Beyonce is so unbothered. I'm like, Megan Kelly or Kelly Megan, whatever the hell your name is, you need to stay in your own lane. You want to make lines, you know, make the news, get your little stuff in the news cycle talking about Beyonce. It's the same bitch that thought want to argue about what color Santa Claus was. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, it says she's been a culture vulture, and Beyonce is just giving it to him, honey. They don't know what to do, you know, and she's so about it. Like, she's a billionaire. What lady, stay in your line? Because Beyonce, like, shit, I don't give two fucks. So I seen that. And of course, they ain't letting Puffy out no time soon. And Puffy said through his attorney, said, honey, his next move is to go to, girl, what is it called? Madison Square Garden. I knew it. Um, there was someone that was speaking and saying that, oh, Puffy would never recover from this. And I thought, oh, they said in the court case that he was into voyeurism. They didn't mention him being with another man. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but they didn't mention it. It was all about, you know, the freak offs with him, his girlfriends at the time, and the male escorts, and what he got charged for, being a John, basically. So I could see him recovering. Cause, honey, they was to let R. Kelly out. He had already made a song about Malcolm Jamal Warner, which just lets you know how gifted people are. And I think the same with Puffy. I mean, all those other things that people were saying that was never proven or never, you know, all the internet father, nothing, none of that was said in court, like the baby oil being um, with spiked with drugs. That was never a story. Never, it was never a true thing. That you know we was gonna get all these famous celebrities from all these freak offs or whatever. That wasn't any. um, him just assaulting everyone. You know, because half of these people up here that was going with Tony Bugsby, that's what they said. He just was assaulting everybody, honey. Just come on, take that, take that, take that. That wasn't the case. That wasn't what they, you know, talking about in court. So I don't know. So I'm just sitting on here. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm feeling kind of down, but as I talk, I talk to myself. Um, Well, yeah, I guess I feel a little better. My little brother said, "Don't be down. You can't change it." I know, but you just want your parent, to still be active and be able to be independent instead of dependent on you. And I know that's not what he don't want to be dependent on anyone. So I sat up there in the hospital with him this evening till he was telling me I'm about to go to sleep. But then my brother had called and said he was coming up there, so I left some clippers because hopefully my brother used to cut hair. He's self-taught himself. This is my brother. He's a teacher. I have a brother that's a teacher, another brother that's a restaurant owner, and my other brother he's in business doing like transportation. He hauls things. He has his own transportation company. So most of us are all entrepreneurs, except for the teacher. And my two brothers that are restaurant owners in New York. So if you ever go to Harlem, look up Lighthouse Fish Market, honey. They got two of them up there. The one, that's the bigger one, they stay packed, honey. They stay packed, honey. They got the liquor license and everything. It's a really nice spot they have there. So yeah, a plug, shameless plug for my brother. So I'm on here just flapping my jaws about my dad and his upcoming amputation. So that way, and just kind of talking about some of our hot topics that's going on in the news cycle for last week, and of course, what else they was talking about? They found the young guy that went on vacation or somewhere with his cousins, and he had texted his mom. They found him deceased. Sounds like his cousins may have had something to do with it, allegedly. Just sad. And he went out of town with his cousins that he never knew. That's crazy. So I was out of town with my cousins for our family reunion. We had a good time. We had like about, I think it was 60 plus people who showed up for the reunion in Vegas. And I was on talking with Brandy while she was live and told her I was chiming in from Vegas. And they were asking, what you doing out there? I said, I'm doing black people shit, a family reunion. She said, girl, so most people can't get their family to get together in town, never alone go somewhere else. Our family always travel when we do our family reunion. So, like next year, it's going to be in New Orleans. So we'll have it there. I think in the next year after that, they're going to take it back to Marion, Alabama. So I think we're going to have an old time family reunion. So that one should be packed. But most of our reunions, we have people from all over come. Our very first reunion started here, where I'm from, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and contrary to what most people believe, most of the black people here in Fort Wayne, they from Alabama. And one girl, she took me. I think she was from Alabama, some part. I don't know what part from Alabama. And because I only been in Alabama maybe 3 or 4 times, but she was like, I never even heard of the foot wash until I came to Fort Wayne. She's like, now ain't that something? Because I was like, well, there's a lot of people that are here in Fort Wayne that are from like Uniontown, Marion. My grandmother then was from New Bern, but Marion, they're all real close together. Marion, New Bern, and Uniontown. They kind of like, I don't know, 20 minutes, 20 miles apart or something. I don't know. Because I remember we went to Uniontown once. And I think that's where they had a foot wash in Uniontown, I believe. I'm not sure. But I went there once when I was a kid. Um, we went to go visit. While we were down in Alabama, we went to go and visit. So my grandmother's father had a big farm down there. And my grandmother's sister had a farm right next to his. So hopefully when we go to Marion next year, so I've been to Marion. I don't remember it really being that many hotels. I'm not saying it ain't, but I don't remember. So these cousins that's having it, in Marion, you know, most of them are kind of bougie. They out from Chicago. Most of them, that's where they live now. And they got you know, I believe they got a lot of land down there too, but they might have, but my grandma and them land look like farmland. Cause her daddy land, it's supposed to be left to all of the heirs, but shoot, I said it belonged to whoever paid the taxes, and I ain't paid a quarter, so I know I ain't no parts of it. But I think he has like a little bit over 100 acres. So I know they still sell timber and pecans off of that, and they used, my aunt used to have some of her cows roaming over there too. So yeah, but, so that was, yeah, my cousins, and we all had a good time down there in Vegas. I posted some videos so you could go and see, and then I come back and I'm strapped down with this baby. I'm so glad my daughter going on vacation next week. I don't know what to do. I said, because having an infant child, I can't do nothing. And on top of that, because my son, he just bought a home and he lives about 20 miles from me. And he's been using my car because he got in a bad accident in June and they totaled it out. So he was waiting until he finishes up with all his therapy and everything. And, you know, plus he was trying to buy a house. So he didn't want to try to make another big purchase. So he's using my car. So they got me around here driving this van. I told them, I'm like, God, dog, I use that for business. Because I'm tired of riding around in that goddamn van. So I'm not going to church in it. So, because my husband got the other car in the shop. So hopefully my son can start using that car and give me back mine. So yeah, so I'm sitting here. I feel a little better. I just talking, get things out. But you know, I said I was going to do a podcast about, or a lives about being Gen X and what we used to do at this point in time. You know, back in the 80s. You know, us Gen Xers. I always tell my grandkids we had the best childhood because we was all over the place. All over the place with nobody worried about nothing. We out with our bikes. As long as you back home, like my mom was a little different. I ain't had to be home by no time the lights came on. We had a set time. So we had to be home by 9 o'clock. And I remember the summer she said that we could come home at 10. Mind you, how old was I? 15? I was 15. I could be home at 10, you know, unless we were going somewhere. Like, we used to have like little clubs. Now, if I was going to that and I had to come home when it was over with. But I'm 15 and my youngest brother, because my mom has 3 kids, my youngest brother, he's 9. I said, why don't we got the same curfew? And he would be the one come out late. We looking for him and this little thing get this. I can't see the time. I couldn't see the time. Looking at the sky. And we crying, talking about this boy gonna be on the they used to have him on the milk carton back in them days. We could, I mean, my little brother one time, he didn't get home till after 12 o'clock midnight. We looking all over. We cried. And he was out with the Asian girl who lived right behind us. But she's from Laos. She's Laotian. And he knew he was in trouble. He said, but he was with her and he didn't really know how to get back home. She had himself, I think, somewhere down there way away from home. You know, we used to get on our bikes and we'd be gone. You know, we didn't have to be within, you know, I don't know, maybe my mom, her mother was really strict, so I guess our mom was kind of the opposite. So, you know, we just had to be home at a regular time. But my little brother, he ain't never paid attention to the rules. So, once we both was out the house, my mom was gone, my brother was gone. So, but yeah, he was always the one we could never find. So, but yeah. So I said, let me I want to do something. And, you know how we in our 50s, but we don't feel old. I mean, you know, I feel old, but I don't feel old. My body feel old, but my brain, I don't know. Sometimes my brain do feel old, but I'm just saying I don't feel 50 something. You know, I said because I remember too well when I remember all the way till I was 3 years old, and it just seems like yesterday. So, oh, and also I saw on Instagram where Eddie Murphy talks about him knowing that he was going to be famous at a young age because a girlfriend he had at the age of about 13 years old was clairvoyant, and she told him. He said she would like touch things, and she could like when he said touch the newspaper and know it was in it, the guy kind of looked like yeah, like she might have read it first, but like she would like touch like a photo and could tell the people the names of the people in the photo. You know, evidently these are people she did not know, and things like that. So she told Eddie Murphy he was going to be famous, and he said she became I want to say bedridden when she got in her 20s. And the big thing I took from that was her name was Sherry, and he took care of her from the time she was in her 20s until she passed away. I think he said she had neurological problems. And I'm like, that's awful big of him. You know, his little girlfriend he had when he was 13 years old. And he said that how when he was filming The Nutty Professor, one day the lights went out. So they went back to the trailers. And as he was going back to the trailer, he had found out she passed. And he took that as a sign that, you know, she shut the lights off. But he took care of her to her dying day. That was very big of Eddie Murphy, you know, to take care of this girl. Her name was Sherry. I thought that was very sweet. That, you know, he took care of her. And that was his little girlfriend. She told him he was going to be famous. And she was right. Oh, so that kind of put a smile on my face. Seeing that people can care for somebody else without that person really just, you know, doing anything for them, you know. Yeah, so that's it. That's all. I've been on here 47 minutes talking to myself. If you catch the replay, please like, share, and subscribe. And I probably won't be this down, honey, but when you get in these ages and you got to take care of your parents and you get that kind of, I don't know, it's devastating news for me. But like I said, some people have experienced worse that I know. But when it's you and it's your turn to go through it, it's a very uncomfortable feeling. So, my cousins, they went through it with their mom. This would be my dad's youngest sister. And I want to say, because she's been gone since 2013. And that's 13 years ago. She was in her 50s when it happened to her. And she had to have one leg amputated. And so I better be looking at my health because, shoot, they all got diabetes. I think my grandmother had diabetes. And none of them were heavy. So I better really be looking at my mom, who is chubby. She didn't start out that way, but she didn't got that way. So have I. She don't have no diabetes. And you would look at my dad and my mom, you would think she would probably be the one, but she doesn't have that. And so my aunt, she was not a heavy woman at all. And she had diabetes. My grandmother did too. Because I remember when I was in my 20s, I had, like a boil here on my chest. And it burst open. Evidently it was an ingrown hair. And it took forever to heal. And I remember my grandma was like, my dad's mom was like, I hope you don't got the sugar. Because, it was pink, the pink, white meat or whatever you want to call it was showing. And people would come up to me and ask me, did you get shot in the chest? I'm like, what? First of all, I'm not saying that well, at that time, this was in the 90s, the early 90s. And I was like, I don't be around people who get shot. But I think if I got shot there, I'd be dead too. But anyways, it took forever to heal. And I remember my grandmother saying about sugar. And I never forget that because I was like, what that got to do? But now I know because my dad wound is not healing. And that when he get his first amputation done is in March. And here we are, August, you know. So, I don't know. But I asked him today, did he feel like he was in pain? And he said his pain level is probably about, here come my husband. Here he comes. He said his pain level is probably like a 6. So, yeah, so he said his pain level is about a 6. So, they're only giving him Tylenol. So, I don't know. Well, maybe you might go out and do something today. I want to do something. I just didn't want to sit in the house. So, I'll watch Love and Marriage Huntsville tomorrow. And I'll do, well, probably later on tonight or early tomorrow, and I'll do a live on it tomorrow. I'll do one for last week and this week. So, we'll do that. So, let me get on out here. I almost said not an hour. So, but it's a nice evening. See what my husband want to do. You know, well, maybe he got to go to this. He got to go to this store. Yeah, we have. I know he got a bunch of meetings tomorrow. I know he's going to church. I said, if I gotta drive that van, I ain't going to church. I can't be dressed up, but I know the Lord. That said, nah, well, you have to go to church. I don't want to be dressed up in my work van. So hopefully my husband heard him get the other car fixed, so my son can drive that and give me back my car. Because I can't let him drive my work van because I need it for work. But that's it. That's all. So I hope you all have a great Saturday evening. And if you have any suggestions about, let me see, any suggestions on, how to handle dealing with aging parents, because it's hard, especially when you're the oldest. And I don't like to make decisions like that. Because my brothers, they're all looking at me. I'm like, shoot. I want you to look at me to do it. But my mother said, that's going to be the best decision because his circulation is so bad below his knee. That's why his toe is not healing. So, I don't know. So, I tried to call his sister because his sister, her birthday, I think just passed, so it's coming up. She'll be 75. So my aunt, she gets around real well. And she's been over trying to get on my daddy, And them the two, they used to be in talent shows and dance together when they were younger. That's the kind of stuff my dad used to do. He used to sing. My daddy done lived a full life, honey. He did all kind of crazy shit. You get to telling me stories. I'm like, what? So my dad, he's from Missouri, a small town called Poplar Bluff. I'm going to give me an hour in. A small town called Poplar Bluff. And my cousin, she took me, she's like, yeah, when I went back, because she was getting reconnected with her family on her dad's side. And she was talking about her grandma. I said, girl, I'm so jealous. You got somebody you can call grandma. I ain't said grandma in a minute. And never had the opportunity of really saying grandpa. My dad's father died when he was 67. My dad's parents were older, having children. So like my grandmother was born, I think, 1914. My dad's mom. My dad's born 1952. And my grandfather was born 1910. They were married, I think, almost 14 years before they had their first baby. She thought she couldn't have children, so her sister gave her her baby. And after, no sooner than she got that baby, my grandma had 9 kids. My grandparents did 9 of them, and out of those 9, really she had 10, but one died. Um, Now I don't know how many miscarriages she might have had, but she had 10, and with those 10, it was a set of triplets. And my dad and my uncle, they survived. I said, just to think that they were 2 pounds at birth, and he told me that. I'm like, 2 pounds in 1952, and y'all getting delivered by a midwife? I said, I had to come through a lot of adversity. So my dad, he also told me that when he was a kid, he seen an alien. I'm like, for real? He said, I swear to God, it was an alien. He said, no, not an alien, a spaceship. He said, we seen it. He said, we seen it. He said, and he just like, he said, it wasn't far up in the sky. He said, and he remembered, because I think he was more like in elementary, maybe middle school, I don't know. But he said there was a white boy come running in school, and he said the white boy looked. No, I don't think school. It must have been after school, because I don't know if they even had school together. But the white boy he saw, he said he was looking, like scared, and he had said he saw a lizard man. And my dad said, I knew he wasn't lying because we saw that thing up in the sky. I was like, really? Me and my son used to always watch like Ancient Aliens, that kind of stuff we used to watch on TV. And I don't care what kind of civilization that, existed hundreds of years ago, they always had something about, some kind of alien. So I do not believe that we're the only kind of life, or, the only planet with life. There's life somewhere else. I do believe that. I don't want to see them. You can stay away. But yeah. So then my dad told me when he was a teenager, because he got kicked out of the schools in the whole state of Missouri, so he had to leave and go to Cincinnati where his sister lived. All because he got in a fight with a white boy and beat him up. So my grandma had to get him up out of there. He also told me about his little friend when he was 7. And evidently, because my grandparents, they had a house in town. I believe the street was called Apple Street. And then they also had a farmhouse outside of town. And one day, my dad and his friend, they were playing, I guess, on the other side of the tracks. And, on the side they weren't supposed to be on as black kids. And so he hurried up, tried to make it home. But him and his friend, I don't know what happened. Somehow they were separated. But the little boy was murdered because he was on the wrong side of town. Isn't that crazy? 7 years old. I thought, oh, that is nuts. So, a lot of times when you have families that are from down south, especially old people like my grandmother, they have situations where they had to deal with racism. Because even my dad told me that a white man just because he could. Some kind of alert. Took 60 acres from my granddad. I think it's 60 or 30, something like that, acres of their farm because he could. Because he felt like he can. He had the right to do it. And and I was like, well, when he told me that, then I started seeing how people, was that one family got reparations in California because they had like a beach area. I think it was it like by Orange County. I don't know, somewhere that's famous now. But they took it from the black people and then sold it. So the state paid them reparations of what it was worth because they took their land from them. They had like their own like kind of resort, you know. And then I remember one time I was seeing, well, I seen on the news where they took a bunch of people's houses in somewhere outside of St. Louis in the early 1900s. They just stood out there, shoulder to shoulder, and just started shooting, and the people ran away. So when they wanted to take something, they just could. So when they took my grandfather's land, my grandmother was very angry. But my granddad, my dad said, was terrified of what white people would do. It just was. Because, like I said, he's born 1910, she's born 1914, and they knew that no matter, they could basically hang you or whatever and get away with it. So there wasn't going to be any justice. So, look, I done did my whole hour. I done gave y'all a little history about my family. So my dad, if anybody's from Missouri, popular beloved, their family name was Cooper, is Cooper rather. And my grandmother, because even though she lived here, when she passed away, they flew her body back to Missouri so she could be buried next to my granddad. So that's it. That's all. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I don't think I done talk myself to making myself feel better. So I'll talk to you guys later. I'll do my live tomorrow. I'll be a little bit more energetic on Love and Marriage Huntsville. And what is the other one? Heart Hustle Houston or something like that. It's pretty good. I would say that's a pretty good show. So I just didn't feel like sitting in the house watching no TV. So I'll wait till it comes back on. But on it, they'll start running that Love and Marriage Huntsville all night. So I'll catch it again on cable. I should have DVR'd it. I didn't think about it. So let me know or give me any suggestions of what you have done or what you would do when your parents are aging. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.